When will this damn pandemic end? Well, to figure that out, you need to think about how it could end. Again, this is vastly simplified. This is a very complex subject, and I'm only giving the barest bones overview. So first I'm going to tell you how it's not going to end. We are not going to eradicate COVID. We fucked up. That's a group we, the human race we. COVID got way too out of control to contain way too quick, and we did way too little to stop it. That allowed it to spread and infect and mutate fairly rapidly. Before it started mutating so rapidly, we probably could have just isolated and eventually vaccinated ourselves to complete COVID non-existence. Or at least something close. Now, not the case. Barring some major advancement in vaccination technology in reference to COVID that will deal with all future possible mutations, COVID is here to stay. The question, though, is how is it here to stay? A lot of the flu variants we have now are descended from the Spanish flu pandemic, which is one of the worst pandemics in human history. But the flu became endemic, which, again, vast simplification here, but it means we can kind of live with it. It mutated enough that its severity went down, and the flu vaccine keeps enough people safe that it doesn't basically wreck society whenever there's a flu season. Still a horribly deadly disease, but a disease that we can live with. COVID is going to have to go through the same transition. And we see that a bit with Omicron. I hesitate to say that Omicron is safer or less deadly than other variants, but it does point toward mutations in that direction. Unfortunately, COVID is always going to be a deadly disease, which means if you catch it, regardless of the mutation, if you have no defenses built up against it, it's gonna suck for you. But vaccines produce immunity. Boosters produce immunity. Breakthrough infections, if you're vaccinated, produce immunity. And while that immunity might not stop you from getting infected, it might just stop it from killing you and landing you in the hospital. And if COVID eventually becomes that sort of disease, a stay-at-home, stay-in-bed, drink-some-chicken-soup disease, then that's when it becomes endemic. That's when it's not overtaxing our hospitals. As for when this will happen, we don't know. The good news is that many first-world countries are heavily vaccinated at this point. The bad news is, because of our friend capitalism, we haven't done the best job distributing it to other parts of the world, especially poorer and underdeveloped parts. Which means COVID is left to run rampant and mutate there, and that eventually finds its way back to us. So I guess this video was a long-winded way of saying, I don't know, shit sucks.